Hello and welcome to Never Seen It, a podcast about movies we haven't seen yet. My name is Trent. I'm here with my wife, Betsy.
Hello!
It is our 10th and final
We've made it!
Oscar movie of this here season. I never want to call it 2023 because then next year is 20... Yeah, it's weird.
It's
anyway,
confusing.
the 2023 Oscars and awards season.
For the 2022 year.
Yes. Anyway, Betsy, it has been a long time coming. This movie has been very elusive to us.
Where we live, this is a hard movie to get.
Yeah. So we're going to cover Women Talking today. And literally today, it came out on Amazon Prime for free. And apparently they're doing this weird, awards week thing.
I don't really know. All I know is it said it's up from the 8th to the 12th.
Yeah. So
if you want to be believed.
If you do want to watch Women Talking for free, do it now.
Do it
real
real
quick.
Wait.
So, Women Talking. Betsy, what do you know about this movie?
I know that this movie was directed by Sarah Polley, who we have mentioned before. She was in the John Adams miniseries as an actress, but she's also made a number of movies as a director. I have seen one of them. It's one that's like autobiographical, where she basically found out at an older age that her dad might not actually be her dad.
Yeah.
And it's really cool. So
I've heard about this.
So I'm interested in this one because I really enjoyed that movie. So I like her eye as a filmmaker. I know there's a lot of people really disappointed she didn't get nominated for Best Director, but that's a problem we have every year with the women directors. That's one thing I know.
I also know her from another little movie that I very much enjoy.
You do?
I believe it is from 2008. It's that Dawn of the Dead.
Oh, she
movie.
is in that movie.
She's the main character,
in the remake of that.
It's not a remake. I think it's Zack Snyder who made that movie.
Okay, well, it's a very close homage.
A version of Dawn of the Dead. But yes, it's a really good movie. I'm not really into a lot of zombie stuff like that, but it's really good. You should check it out.
Fair enough. And then as far as other people involved in this, it's a lot of stars.
Yeah, there's some names here.
So Frances McDormand.
Yep.
Claire Foy, Rooney Mara, Ben Whishaw is in this.
Yep.
Jessie Buckley, who you might recognize. I don't know if you've
necessarily
seen her in anything. And that's just off the top of my head, because the thing about this movie is because it's women talking, they don't actually show the men in any of the trailers. So I didn't even know Ben Whishaw was in this until a few weeks ago.
Yeah, and we saw a trailer for this movie. Jeez, it was very early last year or middle of last year or something.
It was quite a while ago.
It was a long time ago. And from the get-go, I was really intrigued. Like, this story, this concept, which we haven't really talked about yet, kind of spoke to me. I don't know why.
Yeah, it's like a small religious commune. So I don't know if they're like Mennonites, Hutterites,
something
what
like
exactly
that.
it is. It's something like that. And somebody has, I'm assuming, attacked one of these women. I don't know if they beat them, raped them, what happened.
Some unfortunate things happen in this cult, let's say. I don't know.
Well, not a cult, but men have abused women, and the women are sitting around talking, trying to decide if they're going to do something about it.
Right. And the tagline is, you can either stay and fight, you can do nothing, or you can run away.
Mm-hmm. And in this life, in this community, that is a difficult choice. You don't just up and leave. Like in Amish culture, they get, what do they call it? Rumspringa, where they give them the opportunity to go out into the world for a while.
Right.
Some people come back, some people don't. But not all religions that are similar to this have that. So if once you're in, you're born into it and you stay in it forever.
Right. You could make comparisons to The Handmaid's Tale, but that's very much a governmental takeover. This is just this very small group. And I imagine all of the people that you just mentioned, there's probably not a lot more actors in this movie.
No, I'm guessing that this is going to be kind of like watching a play.
Yeah. It is on this farm, let's say.
Minimal sets.
Yeah.
They're in one room, they're in another room, they're in a field.
I'd be surprised if they actually leave this place.
I doubt very much they will be outside of this community.
Yeah, like going to town for supplies or whatever is probably not something they're allowed to do.
But I guess that's the question. We'll see what happens.
But yeah, I'm very interested in this one. I'm glad that we're finally able to watch it. It's unfortunate that we had to wait so long, but we're going to go watch it right now. Join us in watching Women Talking. We'll be right back. Oh boy, we're back. Betsy, that was Women Talking. What's your reaction to that one?
That was a compelling, devastating movie.
Yeah?
I was literally, from about 5 to 10 minutes in the movie, through the rest of the movie, on this razor's edge of, I'm about to burst into tears.
Yeah?
Like, literally at any second, I could feel it just welling up. And it is so well paced where it ebbs and flows, like they're building to that crescendo of you're about to crack, and then they bring it back down. And it's just so fascinating and interesting how they do this. And I was right, it's like a play. It's all dialogue.
Yeah, it is completely all dialogue. It is basically one setting. Like we kind of alluded to, like they never leave this place.
They're in a barn.
There's some stuff outside of the barn, and that's it.
And the only other footage we see is them remembering the attacks, because everybody here has been attacked.
Yes, and of course, before we go any further, just, hey, fair warning, this is some shit we're going to talk about here. And if you are sensitive to that, just understand this is an incredible movie. You can skip the rest of this if you wish, or skip to the end where we're going to maybe talk about some more fun stuff. But
yeah, the topic of this movie, the subject matter, is not easy to talk about.
Yeah, and I think that's why it really works well, because it's done with such a deft touch, and it is done in a way that is believable for the women in this position, because they may not have the words to describe what's happening to them. They don't have the world experience or like the societal knowledge to really understand what's happening in their community.
They literally say they don't have the language to even express what is going on here.
Yeah.
So when they're put in a room by themselves without the men, it's really difficult for them to figure it out. And it is not an easy situation they're trying to solve. There is nothing simple about it because it's so intertwined with faith and community and loyalty, and they've been taught, like they say, it's all about like teaching the younger generations. Like the boys learn this violent behavior from the men and it just perpetuates the cycle, but the girls have been taught to just be silent about it.
And it's gotten worse.
And they also know that as tenets of their faith, they're supposed to forgive, and they are finding it really, really difficult. So it's this complex problem they're facing where if they forgive them, they can't forgive themselves. If they don't forgive them, they'll never get into heaven, and they have defied all of their faith tenets.
Right, and it's because of the men who are writing these rules and making excuses for the behavior and
telling them they imagined it
and
or
like
it was a ghost.
Yeah, completely gaslighting them into thinking, oh, I'm the one who's crazy, when in reality they're using tranquilizers that are used on livestock to drug them and have their way.
Yeah, they wake up to the evidence of what has happened to them.
Bruised, bloody, and
it gets really bad. Like, as it goes through the movie, like, the first shot is Rooney Mara with, there's blood on her sheets, and she's got bruises all over her, and she says it happened again. Right. The key word there being again.
Yeah.
And then they just keep showing what has happened to these other women. Like they wake up and they're spitting their own teeth out.
Right.
And they have had miscarriages. And it, like, one woman is so destroyed by this that she kind of denounces her own femininity. Like,
Yes.
that person is dead. I am not that person.
Yep.
And she reinvents herself as a boy. She dresses as a boy.
She
cuts her hair and she calls herself Melvin.
Right.
And she will not talk to anybody except the children until the very end of the movie when they refer to her with her new name.
Right.
With her new identity.
Right.
Like, that is how bad it got for her, where she had to separate herself completely from it.
And for her to have to go through that whole situation with, like, she's talking with somebody through a fence, saying...
It's like the men who have been locked up.
Yeah, this is after she had a miscarriage. She doesn't know if it's her brother's baby...
But she's pretty sure it is because the baby was all messed up.
Or it might have been somebody else's. But yeah, you're right. It came out misformed, let's say.
Yeah, and that's a graphic scene. And she is screaming in silence the way it's edited together. You hear them talking about what happened to her. And then she is telling somebody who is unseen, this is what happened to me. And she basically states, I'm never speaking again. And she doesn't, except to the children.
Right. And when she's talking with this person behind the fence or whatever, she has to say it in such a meek way. And she cannot have any kind of animosity in her voice whatsoever. Because it's been literally beaten into them that nothing negative would have befallen them from the hands of a man.
From these men would not do anything to you.
Yeah.
Why would they? And they've been fed this for so long. And there's so many interesting conversations they have because they start the movie where the men who were doing the attacking, one of them was identified and then he named names.
Yeah.
And they isolated the three men, and for their own protection, because Claire Foy goes after them with like a fucking reaping shear,
Yeah.
they take them to the actual town, which is presumably days away.
Yeah.
Like literally days away. So
Yeah.
the women are left alone and they hold a vote. None of them can read and write, but they draw 3 pictures. And these are what the pictures mean.
Yeah.
We can do nothing, we can stay and fight, or we can leave. And they bring all the women and they make a little X for what thing they want to do.
Right. Because everybody knows what the issues are.
Everybody knows.
Everybody. Women and children.
Because it's happening to women and children.
Yes.
And that's where it's deeply, deeply fucked up, and where they've kind of been dealing with this for so long that this is their only recourse. They have to decide what to do. And realistically, leaving is kind of the only true answer, but it's not so simple because of all the implications that has for their faith and everything else.
Right.
And
that's why it is such a complicated and emotional and spiritual struggle that these women are going through, and girls too, because the girls have almost equal say in this this meeting that's happening here.
It's 3 generations of women. So it's like the 2 different families.
Yeah.
So it's like the sisters and the mothers and the daughters all having their say. And they all have completely valid points. But one of the most interesting things I picked up out of it was the fact that they say, what will happen to the men when we leave? They can't take care of themselves.
Sure.
Like the fact that these women hold so much power because they run everything, but they have no power because of what these men are doing to them.
Yes.
That is...
They're in a mental prison.
Yeah, it is a completely difficult, impossible situation, and they just keep going round and round in circles where one of them says, I want to stay, and then they say later the same person will say, I want to leave.
Right.
And they keep flip-flopping.
And another one says, we couldn't possibly leave.
How can we leave? We have to stay and fight.
Yeah. And another person would say, I don't know how we could stay. You know, and there are, like you said, there are completely valid reasons for both, because, you know, the reasons for staying, they have a community here. They have all this stuff built up.
It's all they've ever known.
It's all they've ever known. It is a very scary thing to go beyond that horizon.
And they don't even know what the horizon is because they don't know
No.
where they are or how far they are or where anything is.
These concepts are a completely foreign thing for people like us who have seen the world, seen the town we live in, the state we live in, the country we live in, the world we live in.
Or even just the next town over. These women are intentionally, forcefully being isolated.
Yes.
They are not taught to read and write. They can't do anything. They don't know anything except what the men tell them. And yeah, that just sets this up to be so compelling from beginning to end.
Right. And they don't dwell on it, but there's even a line there that they're talking about. We don't ask the men for anything.
Literally.
One of the options was, well, we could just ask the men to leave.
We'll ask the men to leave.
Right. That's the most logical thing.
And it is. It really is
really
the most
is.
logical. Why should we have to leave? We're the
Right.
fucking victims here. But they also are being forced to apologize. And they even say, like, even if we forgive them, we can't be forced to forgive. It's not real if we do that.
Exactly. Like in their faith, they would be forced to forgive them within 2 days. Like, who the fuck came up with that?
For years and years of physical and emotional abuse.
Well, and they're tying themselves into knots by, like, eventually they get to the point where, you know what, maybe the attackers are victims too.
But that's the thing, they figured it out just by talking about it. Like, these are women who don't know anything, but they're smart enough to figure that out because it is a sheltered environment that has allowed this. And let me tell you, this is a whole larger conversation about this happening to women and men, in all kinds of situations in the real world.
Yes.
But putting it in this microcosm and adding the complexities of, they only know their tiny little bubble of the universe. It really makes it interesting. Because this is a story you could expand to such a scale. But because it's so isolated to this little pocket of people in one little town, in one little place, I'm just amazed. This is an amazing movie.
It is. And as far as the story itself, this is based on a real thing. So back in, I believe, the late aughts.
They said 2010 because they had the census takers going around.
Well, that's when this takes place. In the late aughts, the real thing that happened in a town in Bolivia. There was a Mennonite colony in Bolivia where this thing happened. And dozens of men ended up getting arrested after the fact, after the women ended up leaving. So this is all based on a real event.
Because, you don't have the law. You are the law. You have the elders, and that's it.
Right. And the elders are also the perpetrators.
Yeah, they're allowing it to continue.
Yes.
Like, we could do something about these men. We could ask them to leave. The elders could ask them to leave.
Right.
But the fact that all of the women draw this conclusion, like the elders and the generations of people, everybody has been culpable to creating this environment to allow this to happen. And the older woman says we could ask them to leave. And then they all laugh hysterically because they said the one thing we would ever ask them to do is leave.
Right.
And then there's this brilliant line of dialogue where they say, sometimes I think people laugh as hard as they want to cry.
That's an amazing line. There's some real gems in here.
That one is an incredible line, and this is nominated for adapted screenplay, and I will rage if this doesn't win because this is just so well written and so well acted, and I think there's probably some people that could have gotten acknowledgement for their work in this movie that got overlooked.
Yeah, maybe. I would say, I don't want to pick on anybody in particular here because they're all amazing. Ben Whishaw, though, I think did an incredible job of just being in the background, holding himself back and apologizing when he does interject.
Yeah, it's not my place to contribute to this conversation.
Yeah.
And it's probably the first time any of these women have ever talked back to a man.
Right.
But they feel like they can do it in this situation because this is my meeting, our meeting.
Mm-hmm.
You are here to be a witness.
Right.
That's it. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, take records of this because we don't know how to read and write. And they want him to like make the lists on paper that they post on the wall, and it's not for their benefit, it's not for August's benefit, it is for anybody who wants to come and look at this later.
It is a document to mark what happened here.
Yeah.
For other people to remember.
That's insane.
And like at the end of the movie, he tries to give them the notepad, and
Yeah.
Claire Foy looks at him and says, no, you
That's for
misunderstand.
you. That's for you.
It is for you because they want a written record of exactly what was talked about so that other people will talk about it.
Yeah.
Because they haven't up to this point.
And they're gone.
And
So
they leave. Yeah, at
we
the
don't-
end of the movie, they leave.
Yeah.
So there is no record of them existing at all once they've left this colony. And he looks at him and says, don't ever come back.
Yeah. Because he did come back, and I think he regrets it in some way.
He does and doesn't. Like, it's so interesting because he's the one person in this colony where they talk about his parents were excommunicated.
Yes.
And somebody makes a comment when Rooney Mara is speaking, and she says, we should have a statement about why we're leaving and what we want from our new colony.
Yes.
And they say, you remind me of his mother, which presumably the reason they were excommunicated is they were thinking too freely.
Yeah. He even said it. They asked too many questions.
So they were asked to leave, but he was allowed to come back because now he's educated
Yeah, he
and
went
can
to
teach
university.
people.
He can come back and teach people.
Oh, sorry, teach the boys.
Teach the boys.
Specifically the boys.
Yeah.
Because the women aren't allowed.
Well, you saw the classrooms. There were no girls in there.
Nope. Some of the other acting that really stood out to me in this specifically was Claire Foy in that scene where she's like, if I stay, I'm going to become a murderer because I will smash and beat and stomp on the graves of anybody who touches my child, because they don't come out and say it, but they give you all the details to know.
Oh, but they do,
Her
Betsy.
child was attacked. Her
Yes.
child is 4 years old,
Yeah.
and she carried her child on her back a day and a half walk to the nearest clinic to get her antibiotics.
Yeah.
That is how far she is willing to go to protect her family. And like at the end of the movie, her son doesn't want to leave, and she sprays him in the face with what I assume is pesticide.
Something like
Something
that. Yeah.
to get him in line and bring. She's like, I am not leaving him here. He is coming with me. Because he can still. He's young enough to be shaped. He can learn. They can teach them differently if they just get them out of this community.
Yeah.
But yeah, that
I think
scene.
that was one of the more
Oh my God.
heart-wrenching scenes.
Holy shit. I was
Yeah.
just like, fucking A, Claire Foy.
And she's like shaking. She is so upset and angry, and for all the right reasons. And they went there. They're talking about this 4-year-old, and she's coming in telling her mommy, I hurt. Oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you've got like Jessie Buckley, who doesn't want to go,
Yeah.
but she also has this husband who is garbage, and everybody tells her.
And that's the other part of it. It's the faith thing of having a husband, being married.
And loyal to
and
him.
having that institution. You are stuck with this person no matter how much he beats you.
And her mom even says, I was wrong. I told you that this is the way you should be, and I was wrong, and I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And then, of course, when she goes home to her husband, what does he do? He gets drunk
Exactly.
and he beats her and he beats their daughter.
Right.
And it just keeps perpetuating and perpetuating, and she shows up bruised and in a sling.
And that's the thing. How do you just turn that off? I mean, you can't just flip a switch and have all of that not mean anything to you anymore, because it has been literally beaten into your brain. And I can't reconcile their conflict with real life. You know, it's not anything that I can ever comprehend.
Because we have been given a different set of rules You and I are in the environment where it's like, well, fuck this, and we can leave.
Right.
Like, if we found ourselves in a situation, it's not always that simple. I understand that
Of
there are
course.
people in situations like this that it's not so simple to leave. But there are other things in place, like there are police and there are
Laws.
social services, there are laws, there are things.
Laws still apply to
Yes.
Mennonite colonies.
There are things in place to help protect and at least try to get you out of that situation. It doesn't
Right.
mean it always works, but she is in, again, the bubble where
Yeah.
she feels like this is all I can do.
And because they are in this bubble, they don't know that, oh, I can just go to the police. Do they even know what the police are?
But they can't because they also kind of police themselves. And the men, before they leave, say, you have 2 days to forgive these guys.
Right.
Peace out.
Right.
And if you don't forgive them, you'll be shunned
Right.
and excommunicated. So they're going to have to leave this community either way. So yeah,
Right.
it's just round and round and round with the dialogue where they're trying to figure this out. And you genuinely are trying to figure out with them, like, what are they going to do? I completely understand their plight and why they can't decide what to do or
Yeah.
what to say or
It
how
is-
to make it right.
None of this is simple. None of this is a cut and dry thing.
No,
there are
and-
consequences. Well, it's exactly why they put up a pros and cons thing for whatever situation.
And they all just start talking immediately over each other. Oh,
Yes.
God. They all have reasons. Every single one has good reasons.
Yeah.
But what it boils down to is they just can't stay.
And I love, like, when they start, like, it's that list, and it's the list of good things that August is making towards the end of the movie.
Make us a list of all the good things.
It is such a simplistic and pure kind of thoughts coming out of their
It's
mouths.
almost
their minds.
childlike.
It is a childlike kind of a thing, where it's like the sun and the stars, and then there's a
windows.
little girl who says a water pail.
Pails. Windows, pails, and then he just adds women.
Women.
At the very end of it.
Hell yeah.
Oh my God. Oh, what else was there that really moved me in this movie?
I
I haven't
would
checked my
say-
notes yet, but I need to see my notes.
Sure, and I'm just gonna say the other one that really got to me was we haven't talked about Frances McDormand. She's barely in this movie. She's in 2 scenes, 3 scenes. Yeah,
She's in the trailer, and I figured, oh God, she's going to be
I thought
this-
she was gonna be a leader or something.
No, she's
No.
an elder of some kind.
Yeah.
She's an older woman. And she basically, at the beginning, says, we have to forgive them. She's the one who's set in her ways.
Yep.
She's too old to change, and
Yep.
she's going to teach these younger women.
She wants to get into heaven.
Perpetuate the machine.
Yeah.
Keep it going. Like,
Yeah.
and when they say we might leave, she grabs her daughter and fucks off.
Like, nope,
She's like, nope,
we're
I'm not
gonna
even
be,
listening
we're
to this.
not even going to be a part of this. It is not an option for us to leave or fight back or do anything else. We are what we are. But the thing that really got to me is at the very end when they, like, she comes out, Frances McDormand comes out, and her daughters are also there. And the tall one is like almost motioning
She's
to
being
the
kind
group.
of like a siren song. They're up in the barn singing, and she's
Yeah.
being drawn to it.
Right.
And she stops her.
Right.
She's like, "You're not going
She
over
pulls
there."
her back, and then there's another girl who looks like she's blind.
I think it's like the daughter and the granddaughter is
Yeah.
probably what that is. And yeah, that little girl is blind.
Yeah.
And there's people in this village who are in wheelchairs, and they're like simple-minded, or they have issues. And this girl is blind, and they keep
It's-
saying, there's people here that need to be protected.
Yes.
And they're coming with us.
and I mean, it goes without saying, but I'll say it anyway. I mean, they're the victims of incest. This is what happens when you have these things happen.
Right.
Yeah.
We don't know. Like they've said, like the consequences of this. Some of them are raging and want to kill people. Some of them are quietly just going on with their lives and internalizing everything. Some of them are having panic attacks and smoking, which is a really strange sight in this
Yeah,
community, but it's
right.
just how she has to deal. One of the women killed herself.
Yeah.
Rooney Mara is an unwed mother. She is pregnant. And she even says, if I stay, they're going to take my child away
Right.
and give it to another family because I'm not a married woman.
Or they're gonna give it to my attacker.
Potentially, yeah. They could give it to that family.
Yeah. But the thing I was gonna say is the Frances McDormand daughters or daughter and granddaughter, they end up leaving.
Yeah.
Somehow,
At the last minute, they just
somehow
go.
they get away, or she lets them go for whatever reason. It doesn't matter. They get to go.
Yeah. Right before they leave, here they come running up and they
Right.
load them onto the buggies and off they go.
That made me happy.
Oh, yeah. There's so many just really great moments in this movie. And when they decide to leave and they are resigned to it and they resolve to do it, you know, there's also, from an element of filmmaking, just this really interesting time crunch because the sun
Yes.
is going down. Like they say at the beginning, they have 2 days to figure this out, but really it's tonight. It's like afternoon when they start talking and it's getting darker and darker and darker.
Yep.
And when the sun goes down, they have to hurry their asses up because one of the husbands is back.
Right, yeah, they find out that the guy who beats up Claire Foy, he's coming back that
Tonight.
night, and they need to have this done. And as soon as they find that out, they're like, let's make a decision now. Now.
Yep, we're doing it. We're
Yeah.
leaving. Here's the plan. Let's go.
Yeah, and the only thing that they really need to figure out is who else is coming. So they decide, okay, boys who are younger than, what do they say? Initially, they
So,
said 12.
First they said 12, but then there's some kids who are like right above that age.
Right.
And they ask the teacher, August, like, are these boys a danger to us? And he goes on this long speech. It's kind of his longest speech in the movie,
Yeah.
talking about they're children, but they're also very dangerous because
Yes.
at this age they have urges and they can't understand it, and they're full of hormones and they are curious, endlessly curious and dangerous. So yeah, if you take them with you, it's possible that they will be a danger to you, but they're also young, moldable minds.
Yeah, we can still teach them.
You could still teach them a different path.
I thought that was really impressive for them to really break it down like that. You know, they've all been around boys. They've all been around kids. They were kids at one point. They were teenagers at one point. Everybody knows what's going on, but they don't know what it is in the mind of a boy. August does. So they're going to they're going to listen to him.
This is the one time your input is necessary because we
Yes.
have asked for it. Any other time, you're just taking notes. There's so many other really great filmmaking things here, like the fact that
let's talk about the overall look of the film and how it sounds and everything else.
yeah, so the fact that August is the only grown man that they show except for Klaus, their husband,
Yes,
who shows
yes.
up. And he is only shown at a distance and out of focus. At the beginning of the movie, there's a lot of bodies of men, but you don't ever see them except shoulders down. You never see any faces.
Sure.
So really, they are not the focal point of this at all. And they demonstrate that pretty quickly in the movie, where it's just, these are the women and that's it. And then any other males are all children.
Yeah, they're boys.
They're boys, and they showed them playing and running. And there's all these like juxtaposition, like footage of the kids. And it's like the innocence of youth. They're all running around the field and playing.
They don't know any better, you know?
No, and they have this Melvin.
Yep.
So now Melvin is their protector. He is out there watching over them, and I'm going to take care of you and make sure this doesn't happen to you.
And Melvin's out there protecting the kids and watching the kids while this meeting is going on. And the only time that there's any interruptions is when one of the kids needs something and they need their mommy.
Right, and of course what he needs is he stuck a cherry pit up his nose, as children are known to do.
Right, and only mom knows how to deal with that.
Just plug up the other side and
blow harder. Yeah.
So it's just a nice touch where they're there, but very little at the beginning, and there's one at the end, and you don't see him because he's not important.
Yeah.
He is not important. And then as far as like the look of the rest of the movie, it's all very like muted.
Everything is washed out. And it was
Washed out.
a very intentional thing. Like there are some moments here of, you mentioned before that the sun is going down. There's an intentional moment where like, I don't remember exactly what it was. Maybe somebody was crying or there was a head on a shoulder or something. As the sun is going down, you can see the yellow and orange coming into the room and it's lighting everything up. And as the sun is going down, it just completely goes away. There's hardly any color in the rest of that scene.
It's just dark.
Yeah.
Dark and quiet.
Yes. And even in the rest of these scenes here with Ben Whishaw, when he's on screen and there isn't a little lamp next to him, like there's a little bit of blue in his shirt, but that's the only color you see because everything else is washed out.
Yeah,
even
all
like
their outfits are very
even the
dark.
hay in the hayloft is has barely any color. They're all wearing black.
Black and brown and dark colors.
All dark, yeah.
And very patterned, so it's all just very like floral and muted. It's a very muted kind of a movie.
Right.
So just again adding to that gray world they live in.
Yeah, there is very little like happiness and brightness.
There are a few moments of levity throughout this movie.
Barely.
But it's all in those like, we're so upset we're gonna crack a joke, or
because that's all you can
or
do.
We're so ready to cry that we'd rather laugh. Yeah. That's when those moments of levity come. And then there's, like I said, a census taker who comes through and he's blasting from the speakers Daydream Believer
by the Monkees.
By the Monkees. And it's so jarring, but it's really symbolic of the outside world just blasting through there.
Well, and like you could see where like something is triggered in their mind that they have to like tense up and just ignore, like forcibly ignore what is happening when
Shut the
there is a
windows.
motorized truck outside blasting music. But you know what? August recognizes that music. For whatever time that he was away from the colony, he was able to get that in his brain and he could sing along.
Right. And there's two kind of things I took away from this. So there's a guy on a loudspeaker saying, "Come out of your homes and be counted for the 2010 census. Come out of your homes." And they're all like hiding inside, shutting the doors, shutting the windows. They're not going out and talking to this guy for two reasons. One, I would be willing to bet under no circumstances would they want to be counted.
Nope.
But secondly, why would they be counting them if they're planning on leaving? If they plan on leaving, what would be the point of being counted right now?
Well, I think I wouldn't read too much into that.
I'm just saying.
I think it's just more that they don't want to have any contact with the outside world.
I am just saying it would be a moot point to count them.
You're right.
If you're having a conversation this very moment that tomorrow you won't be here.
Yeah, but then again, they're probably not going to go very far.
They're going to go far enough.
They're also not going to count them where they end up. Anyway, I don't want to get into the census and its importance.
I'm just saying, as far as how I read that scene, there's two things you can take away from that.
I see
the
what you're
obvious one and the less obvious one.
Yes. I just had one little thing here. At the very, very beginning of the movie, there is a line of text on the screen. And it says, "What follows is an act of female imagination." Did you see that?
Well, yeah, I saw it.
So what do you make of that? Now, that I assume is straight out of the book. Same thing with all the narration that I want to talk about as well. The act of female imagination. So are they saying here that women are the ones who are deciding this? They weren't influenced by men. They weren't taught by men on how to make this decision. They did it themselves.
There's many interpretations. I mean, one is none of this happened, and this is the imaginations of a girl because there's a narrator telling this story. Like, she could be just going and telling this as an escape. Like, you could interpret the entire thing that way.
Yeah.
I don't think that's necessarily the intention.
Right, like this is this little girl wanting to have this happen even though none of the women will actually do this.
Right, so that would be one way, but I think your version is probably the most appropriate, which would be...
Based on what happens, yeah.
Yeah, which would be they are using their own minds, people who aren't really given the opportunity to do that. Like, they're expressing that they do have creativity and they do have problem-solving skills and they do have intuition and a drive to make a change, but they're never given that chance to do it. So, it is a complete invention. It is a complete use of their own imagination. But yeah, I think those are probably the most logical conclusions you could draw.
All right. And speaking of like imaginations and like being gaslit and shit like that, they said something about I think it was the woman who was having the panic attack, and she was saying afterwards about the fact that the men made them disbelieve themselves.
That's the worst thing about this
and
situation.
that is actually the worst thing. The attack is not as bad as being made to believe, not just told, but made to believe that it didn't actually happen.
Mm-hmm. Clearly, you cannot be trusting yourself.
Right.
And that's a fucking dark thing for anyone of any age.
That messes up your fucking brain.
Which is why she's having like a fucking meltdown, because it's how she is processing this.
Yeah.
And like Jessie Buckley's character is like, why are you so dramatic? Why are we able to deal with this and you can't? Why are you going off about this? But once she says that, then Jessie Buckley kind of pipes down.
Yeah. I will say that the Jessie Buckley line about, well, why do you get to talk like a man when she's talking to Ben Whishaw after he has his speech about the boys. I thought that was funny. But yeah, the panic attack thing, I interpret it as not necessarily having like a flashback or like dealing with whatever happened to her. I feel like the panic attack was her, because they were talking about leaving. They're talking about what to do after they're leaving. And that's something that people really have as reactions to stuff that is like really scary and outside of their comprehension. Like leaving this colony is something you can't even imagine.
They haven't imagined it.
Right.
Why would they imagine it?
Right. So I that's how I interpreted that.
Mm-hmm. But it's also edited in such a way where, again, we're just, as they're talking, getting these interspliced images of the terrible, terrible things each of them went through. And they're on a huge spectrum of awful things.
Sure.
Just, so that poor girl, she's shown screaming. There's a lot of screaming, but the sound is edited out. So all you see is the acting and the reaction.
Just a beat, just a half a second of screaming.
Or the mouth open and the terror on their face.
And, oh God, there's some scenes here that I'm not even going to repeat, but, they treat this subject matter with such a touch, but they don't have to say the words. They don't have to say in detail what happens. You know what happens.
Yeah, I don't even know if any of these women have told the other women exactly what has happened to them. Like at the beginning of their discussion, they wash each other's feet, and there's this panning shot of the older women washing the younger women's feet, and they all have bruises. Like some of them have bruises around their ankles like they've been tied up.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
I did.
So they just pan past it, so you, the viewer, are supposed to notice it. But it's not all of them, but it's subtle. Enough of them.
It's subtle to make you start questioning what the hell is happening to these women.
Yeah, it's a lot. It is a very massive situation. But it keeps coming back to the core thing that they're struggling with is, of course, faith. The entire place they are exists because they believe in these certain tenets of faith. And like they say, we're pacifists. Like the whole thing about them, the fundamental thing they believe in is pacifism. And if they stay, they're basically denying their own faith. And by leaving is an act of faith.
Yeah.
They will be stronger for their faith if they go, because they can actually get the distance from the situation to forgive like they are expected to.
I mean, it's another way of saying taking the higher ground. Like do not stoop to their level and attack them with violence. Attack them by leaving and leaving them with whatever the fuck that they have.
Yeah, and of course, that's the only word they use to describe it is violence.
Yeah.
And the way they use that specific word, it jumps out at you every single time because they're using it as the only noun they have to describe what's happening to them. So sometimes it doesn't even feel like the right word because they don't have anything else. Yeah. They just use that word. So the dialogue is interesting in that. And then there's the juxtaposition of love. Like Rooney Mara gives her speech about how so much love or the lack of love or the want for love can lead to violence.
Yeah.
Oh, and God.
Interpreting the word love in this case, where love could mean a lot of different things. It could be good. It could be very, very bad.
Well, like the woman whose husband is abusive. That's love.
Yeah.
The way they have been taught, that is love. And that is violence. So yeah, there's this intertwining happening for these girls who don't know any better and these women who don't know any better.
Yeah.
And they have these moments, like I said, where they kind of are building up the tension, and then the way they relieve the tension is they pray, they recite Bible verses, and they sing the hymns.
Yeah.
And anytime it's getting to be too much, they turn to their faith, and it kind of brings them back.
And really, this movie is just about that. This is all they have. They have their faith, and they have each other.
And without those things, what do they do?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's, oh my God. Wow. I'm really, like, listen, this movie was worth the wait.
It definitely was. And like I said, when we did the intro, I had been looking forward to watching this movie for a long time. I kind of knew what this was going to be about before we even sat down here, but the execution is very well done. I give most of the credit here to the original author of the book, the novel.
But it takes some skill to this effectively adapt this for the screen.
You're right.
I would love to see this as a play, though.
Yes.
Like, I'm going to look into this and see if this exists as a stage play.
It should be if it's not.
It would be an incredible thing to see when those people are doing it in real time.
Yeah. Because it's a lot of dialogue. It is a lot of weird concepts to try to grasp. And yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot, Betsy. So I don't really have anything else to say. Did you have any other details you wanted to talk about here?
Of all the movies we've watched, this one definitely made me cry. Which is weird because most of the time the Oscar movies, there's kind of a few.
Sure.
But this
or
one,
there's one that's going to be thrown in there as the tearjerker.
This is the one that takes the cake on that, just because, like I said, I was kind of riding that line the majority of the movie. And just when you think you're about to crack, they bring you back, and then they push you forward and they bring you back. But at the end, it's such a joyous feeling to see them actually leave that I think that the tears that release was just the joy
and the
relief. And I'm like programmed as a movie watcher to think something bad is going to happen.
I totally
they're
thought
not going to get away.
Something was going to happen.
The husband is still there, but he's drunk and passed out, and he could come out any time. I mean, I don't know if he could stop them all because he's one guy.
Right.
But like, there's still that threat there, and
there's a lot of men, though. It's not just one dude.
But they gotta hustle to get the hell out of there and get a head start, because we don't know if these men will come after them. We don't know what's gonna happen to these women. But we're given the hope that they get away, and the last shot is this baby. The little girl who is narrating, she's telling the story to the baby, like, your life's gonna be different because of what we did. And by the end, I was just like, yes, they're free. They're free.
That's the hope. So, all right. We are done, Betsy.
We made it.
10 Oscar-nominated movies for Best Picture for this here season. Wow. I don't know where my list is going to be.
That's the project for the next few days.
Yeah, we're going to start really putting together our list here. We got to listen to some older podcasts. And yeah, this coming Sunday will be our Oscar special. It will be a spoiler-free discussion about all 10 movies. We are going to rank them from 1 to 10. I know it's... God, Betsy, this is going to be a really hard one this year. I know we always say that, but damn.
It's all coming down to nuance.
Yeah.
Like, for me, I've started laying them out, but there's just little things that bumps things up and then bumps them back down. And then I'm like, I don't know where to put this.
And we'll talk about more of that in our special. That will be coming out on Oscar Sunday. So we hope that you are going to join us for that. Again, spoiler free. You don't have to have watched all of the movies. We're just going to talk about them in general. So yeah, that episode is always fun. This is our third annual Oscar special.
Oh my gosh, Trent. Our third one.
Yeah. I'm going to make an executive decision here, and we're not going to do any emails today because I don't know how we follow a movie like that with a funny email from somebody. So please email us with your rankings of whatever movies that you've done. If you've done all 10, if you've only done a few, I don't care. Tell us what your rankings are, and we'll read them on the show on Sunday on our Oscar special.
Or any movies that maybe didn't make the cut that you would have liked to see included.
Sure. Our email address is neverseenitpod@gmail.com. Neverseenitpod@gmail.com. We're on all the social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Click the links in the podcast description to do that, as well as a link to support the show. Throw us $1 on Anchor if you like what we do. But again, this is our last episode before our Oscar special. Please tune in on Sunday for that episode. Spread the word to all your friends. We're smart, we're funny, and we're entertaining sometimes. Thank you for enduring with us for this 10th episode of our Oscar series. We'll be back on Sunday with the Oscar special again, but this has been another episode of Never Seen It. My name is Trent.
My name is Betsy.
And we'll get you next time.
Bye.